In the net tonight, is digital money about to turn the internet into an online economy? Benjamin Woolley infiltrates Television Centre on an interactive mission to transform couch potatoes into hyperactive role players. In our weekly hot list, Lib Dem leader Paddy Ashdown checks out the political scene on the World Wide Web. And cyberpunk author Jeff Noon prowls the mean streets of Manchester. We are now able to shop in the comfort of our own homes. This long-promised convenience has been made possible by that internet killer application, the World Wide Web. Thousands of businesses are already on the web, and the number is growing daily. This is more than just advertising. It is an attempt to open new markets in cyberspace. At the moment, web users are being invited to use credit cards for purchases, but the inconvenience and expense of this procedure is pointing to the need for some form of electronic cash that people can use easily for small payments.
The imperative for bringing cash onto the internet is economic, not technological. And that's because the superhighway itself, of which the internet can be seen as a forerunner, is an economic phenomenon, not a technological phenomenon. We live in a society, the information age, the knowledge society, whatever you want to call it, where in the very near future, the bulk of commerce will be concerned with information, services, intellectual property. And the cheapest place to conduct that business will be in cyberspace, on the internet. And that can't happen until the money, the cash is in place to support those billions of small transactions.
Mondex is one form of electronic cash that has been developed by NatWest and Midland banks. Before going online over the internet, it is going to be market tested offline in Swindon.
Mondex works by having a chip, a small computer, embedded in a credit card-sized plastic card. That chip contains electronic money. You load it at a Mondex telephone, a payphone, a Mondex cash dispenser, a bank branch, and you spend it by transferring money from your card to a similar card in the retailer's till at participating shops. You basically use it just like money.
The first live test for Mondex will begin next month. Almost every retailer in Swindon will accept it, from large stores to newsagents. And, like cash, people will be able to use it for very small payments. Mondex will also be piloted online.
Mondex is going to be very significant for the net. Now, why do I say that? Well, Mondex is cash. And I think consumers are going to understand it as cash in electronic form right across their payment experience. Now, while for larger purchases, say of software or information, consumers are going to demand, quite rightly, the opportunity to spend using Visa, spend using MasterCard or American Express across the net. For smaller purchases, and for some consumers, for larger purchases, they're going to want to use cash. In the physical world, they do that with notes and coin. On the net, they'll do that with Mondex, very directly and literally.
Money is any commodity that people are willing to trade. In prior generations, people have traded cigarettes and cognac, and they've used that as money. As long as people have confidence in it and they recognize its value and they can exchange it freely, that's money.
It's not only banks that can issue money. Software security expert David Chome has invented a system which will enable companies to issue their own currency on the internet.
Electronic money is any way to make payments using electrons instead of pieces of paper or chunks of gold. My little company, DigiCash, has been working with a type of electronic money that provides a bearer instrument So it's a number which is money. And we have developed a blind signature process that allows people to get those numbers validated by the bank without the bank knowing what the number is while it's being validated. So you can withdraw this kind of money from your bank account or what have you, and then you can spend it, and when it is sent back to the bank in a payment, the bank won't know which account it was withdrawn from.
One company that plans to use David Chome's DigiCash system to issue its own private currency is Pipex, the UK's largest internet access provider.
The way we envisage the electronic cash to work is that people will buy some of our tokens with real money. They'll send us a cheque, which we'll bank, and then we'll issue them with tokens. And then they will spend those tokens with merchants. Those merchants may spend that money again with other merchants, and so we'll have currency just circulating. Or they may occasionally actually want to convert it back into another currency. However, because of the global nature of the internet and currencies move quite rapidly and quite severely, we may find that the currency that we initially tie ourselves to becomes sufficiently devalued relative to the others that we actually have to cut loose and work on a floating exchange rate.
Suppose I go to an ATM, a hole-in-the-wall cash dispenser, and I have the option of drawing out pounds or dollars or BT shares or AT&T stock. As long as those things are tradable, they're effectively money. And if I take the view that over the long term, the value of AT&T stock will hold up better than the value of the dollar, for example, in fact history shows that that's the case, then I'll opt to take what I believe will be the most stable currency. And I think that level of competition is going to be good for the end consumer.
Some believe the current system of using credit card payments on the internet endangers our privacy and possibly our civil liberties, because all the transactions are traceable, unlike electronic cash.
Well, the problem with using all the other types of payment systems is that they are all, in essence, a way to identify the payer. As we increasingly automate all kinds of existing payments and create a whole lot of new payment relationships for small value payments, for pay-per-view TV and what have you, that the data capture that's created will be unprecedentedly revealing about an individual's behavior and actions, and the data that is captured can also be analyzed in a very effective way by use of the same sort of computer technology.
But the anonymity of electronic cash also has the potential to create problems.
Electronic cash, as implemented across something like the internet, knows no boundaries, knows no borders. It is secure, it is private. And as a result, the only people who will know of a transaction are the two parties involved in the transaction. And thus it's totally unregulatable. So yes, we're going to have monetary anarchy.
Luckily for us, I think it's completely impossible to police this. I think there's going to be so much money floating around as people buy and sell services over the networks. And the information is going to be so complex and so diffuse that it's going to be impossible for any national or even international authorities to track down these transactions and to eliminate fraud, but also, of course, to collect income tax. It's the ultimate global back pocket economy.
The year is 1995. The place, Shepherd's Bush, Britain. An evil force has taken over.
It's the talk of the entertainment industry. After years of dominance, the old mass media of TV and film are about to be challenged by a new form of entertainment, one just beginning to emerge from the research labs and computer games houses, the interactive movie. To explore this idea, we've created a little interactive movie of our own. It has all the basic ingredients that characterize the genre. We have a plot, an attempt to use interactive media to overthrow the powers of broadcast TV. We have characters such as the evil channel controller, who will do everything in her power to protect her audience. And we've designed an interface, a mock-up of a TV studio gallery, which provides the controls and information the player needs to proceed. Imagine then that you are the player of this game. I will act as your guide as you battle to save your fellow human beings from being turned into couch potatoes. Oh, hi, thank God you made it. It's getting dangerous down here. There's not a lot of time. So what do you want to know?
I'm feeling kind of hungry.
Here, you should eat.
An interactive movie is a form of entertainment that tries to ape the style and appeal of a Hollywood movie, with the added bonus that you can converse with the characters and steer the development of the plot. That's why it's called interactive. I'll give you an example. You should find that one of the interactive movies available to you is called Under a Killing Moon. This is one of the most elaborate of them all, and has many of the features that are supposed to make an interactive movie entertaining. In Under a Killing Moon, you play the part of a private dick in a pokey office struggling to make a living in a tough neighbourhood. You prowl around your patch searching for clues, chatting to people and buying things, in the hope of accumulating the information you need to solve a series of crimes. Truffaut it isn't. It's predictable Hollywood stuff. The women have long legs, the men short tempers. If you think the streets are rough, get a load of the dialogue.
Yeah, what do you want?
Looks like you're busy drowning your troubles, my good man.
Well, Mr. High and Mighty, what are you, a preacher or something?
Good guess. Actually, I'm a gumshoe and I'm looking for some information.
That's what I figured. You've got a fedora, a trench coat, and you look broke.
But it's quite a good demonstration of what interactive movies might be capable of doing in the future.
Huh. So you think you can destroy me with products like that? I think if you examine the ratings, you will see that your mission is doomed, and that you too will succumb to the pleasures of passive viewing. Stay tuned, my petite pomme de terre.
Vortex is interesting because it really does attempt to combine the best features of film, characters, setting and so on, with the best feature of computer games, the ability to shape events and figure out puzzles.
The Dujani killed all the Goyapai who lived on that island.
Goyapai. I'm sorry. I don't know what that is.
Please wait while we try to connect you to Greg Roach, author of Vortex and pioneer of interactive movies. Please wait while we try to connect you to Greg.
How can I save you from turning into couch potatoes? I can't save you from turning into couch potatoes. That's something that you'll have to do for yourselves. It's only going to happen if you want it to happen. Fortunately, though, the means are now available whereby you can entertain yourselves in a more active fashion.
You are getting dangerous, my young friend. Just do not underestimate the potency of the medium you're attacking. My people enjoy television. It is the most successful medium ever. It is their primary source of information as well as entertainment. And that is something you will never be able to overcome with such paltry offerings.
What do you want now? This is no time for idle chit-chat. The channel controller could unmask me at any moment and give me a 5-year assignment on business breakfast. You're still missing something. It's hard to say exactly what, but it's not all there yet. Perhaps it's atmosphere, that indefinable quality that's so important to the movie-watching experience. Take a look at Creature Shock. Strictly speaking, this isn't an interactive movie, but it shows how some game designers are struggling to develop the more subtle techniques that make movies so satisfying. Techniques that build tension, draw the viewer in, create the illusion of being in another world. But there's still a long way to go.
TV ratings are consolidating across the channels, with the multimedia sector still struggling to achieve.
My God, you're vegetating fast. You better get out of here. Look, you're going to have to leave. You would have thought the combination of starring in your own movie and being able to steer the plot would be enough, but it's not working yet. Maybe it's something to do with storytelling. Is a story any more challenging, any better, just because you can change the ending?
Warning, you are about to become a couch potato.
I'm Paddy Ashdown. I'm the leader of the Liberal Democrats. I use the internet. I use it particularly email, which is the big thing that I use and find invaluable. But I know perfectly well that I'm just nibbling at the edge. It offers opportunities to do things that we could never do before. We had to have representative democracy. We couldn't have direct democracy. But now we can, if we use this. We shouldn't be frightened of that. In fact, that may be one of the ways that you begin to bridge the gap that has grown up between government and governed in this country. A page is your front of house, isn't it? It tells you what people want you to think of you, and it's your sort of shop window. Parliamentary Labour members of the National Executive Committee. This tells you who's the National Executive Committee. There's a piece of burning information that you want to know, isn't it? However, it's not bad if you're just going in. You actually want to find some working information out. It's not bad. Parking Committee for London. What is the Parking Committee for London's homepage? Parking Committee for London. It's got double yellow lines on it. I haven't seen them before. My interest was that it was an interesting example of how you've got something which is a new discovery, but all the world has access to it instead of just those people who visit the Ardèche. My son's doing a dissertation for his degree, and he's chosen the hammered dulcimer, which is quite rare. It's a very early form. It's a medieval form of a sort of a zither, but it's played with a hammer. And he's actually making one now. He's making a large hammered dulcimer as part of his degree project. I didn't know there was actually an address for it. But here you have something as bizarre as a hammered dulcimer, and you have a whole page giving you information, upcoming workshops and festivals, publications, image and sound files. And that was all stuff he was able to use.
Cyberpunk novelists have used the idea of virtual reality to paint a future where our senses will be dominated by technology, way beyond today's clunky headsets and data gloves. But Manchester's very own cyberpunk, Jeff Noon, has a radically different vision of VR. Technology so advanced, it's organic. In his first novel, Vert, he depicted a future Manchester where Vert experiences are sold impregnated on feathers. Part game, part dream, part quest, Vert is virtual reality, but much more. A parallel world we can dip into or out of at will. In his new novel, Pollen, Noon further explores the fate of Manchester as the streets become overgrown, infected with flowers crossing over from the Vert world. But how can we enter this dreaming dimension? Not by jacking into cyberspace, but by sucking on a feather.
I was writing about dreams. A new kind of technology that peeled back the sleeping skull, allowing dreams to take flight. Dreams made real, imagine. It felt like my head was exploding into flowers. Dreams are confusing. That's the whole point of them. They're scary, dangerous. Whilst travelling through them, we need a shaman to lead us.
My sweet kittlings, welcome to the dream world. Worry not. The game cat is here to gently massage your passage through to the vert. This is your Captain Cat speaking. We are currently travelling at 25,000 images per second through liquid vert space. May I recommend close study of this safety cool message. This woman's called Judy Gape. Look at her eyes. Rapid eye movement. The girl's dreaming. This is a vert feather. A dreaming feather. Judy's flying as strange as dreams. To join the dream is simple enough. Watch closely, my kittlings. Beautiful dreams, my people. This feather that Judy has sucked is called Lassie on drugs. Judy wants to be a dog for a day. Zero psychology, no worries, just desires. Sounds wicked, yeah? Go on. Want some? Have a lick.
I wanted to write about virtual reality. For the first time, human beings will be living inside information. Now, I imagine that dreams somehow could be released and put into this technology so that dreams were accessible via virtual reality. It would be like the ultimate drug. I'm talking about the future, England's future. And I called this process vert. Not so much a drug, more a way of life, a way to knowledge, a religion. And I wanted to go beyond technology, into biology, organic technology, if you like. I imagined that the dream could have wings. The dream could be captured in a bird's feather. Collective dreams, which was Jung's description of myths. It would be like stories coming alive. We could become anything. We could become gods, warriors. We could become dogs.
Be careful, my kittlings. Be very, very careful. Don't believe the authorities. The authorities suck on air. This is what happens when a dream goes wrong. Dreams. That one we had a long time ago.
about Persephone, the girl of flowers. Releasing dreams from the human head would allow old stories access to reality. I called this second book of dreams Pollen, because by those tiny grains, the flowers reproduce themselves, fertility myths. The city of Manchester would become overgrown, a jungle paradise, a dreaming disease, hay fever, a violent sneezing, the flowers of love. Achoo! Pardon me. The dream released will take us over. How can we possibly fight against the flowers of Vert? We may as well burn.
Suck deep, our kid. Time to go home. And there you have it, my kittlings. Follow the cat's Laura Cool and have yourself a safe trip. 1. Don't do Vert alone. 2. Don't buy cheap and nasty feathers. And 3. Subscribe this instant to the Game Cat's very own authenticated map of dreams. You know it makes sense.
When I was a young kid at school, I had this friend. He sold me an invisible watch. That's right, an invisible watch. I mean, I paid him good money for it. He put the invisible watch on my palm. I looked down at it, and I believed. I really believed. I mean, I never bothered to consider how you would possibly tell the time on an invisible watch. It was like a dream thing, I guess. I don't know. Even after all these years, I still believe.
For more information about internet access providers and details of a BBC educational video about the internet, send a large stamped addressed envelope to The Net, PO Box 7, London W5 2GQ. Next week in The Net, Benjamin Woolley belts up and beams in, improving icons and interfaces, and how Bulgarian software goes west. And finally from The Net.
Hello, is that The Net? I'm calling from Cyber Cafe. Currently running a global directory of public telephones. Get me a nice phone box or a public phone in Bulgaria. An interesting one. You can register it via the World Wide Web, or you can send it to me on a postcard, or you can ring me up. Everybody can use a public telephone box. It's public access, really. That's the important thing. Hello? Hello? Hello?